So these guys flew in all the way from Norway. I feel like that deserves a round of applause by itself. You guys making your U.S. premiere with this one.
That's right, yeah.
And congratulations. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
This is the third time I've seen this movie. And
it just keeps getting better, right?
I gotta say, I like it better with a crowd.
Yeah.
I sat right in front of Watson, who is the writer-director of Bundy Manor, and just hearing him laugh, he had me cracking up a little bit more. So, I know we talked about it in the podcast, but for the everyone here right now, can you guys talk about where the idea for the film came from?
Sure. So we have a filmmaking club in Stavanger, and over Christmas, we just I was a bit bored, and I gathered people together and said, let's make something, and we just started brainstorming ideas with who was there, who's got access to what. Konya is a breathing coach, she's got access to the studio, okay, we'll write that in, you know. Starbucks, they'll let us film there, let's write that in. We just wrote around that, the people that we know and what we wanted to do. And that was the basic outline. You want to say
something? For my part, I really wanted to satirize the true crime genre and everything in that kind of sphere that you see on Netflix and everywhere else, and try and make a funny commentary on the kind of exploitative nature of it, which is what you've just watched. Yeah.
How do you guys think they did with kind of bringing the comedy of being a satire? I want to ask a random question for every female in this, because the movie addresses it. Do all of you listen to true crime podcasts, watch documentaries?
Some shaking heads.
Or is shaking right now. All right, cool. So I know, like growing up, obviously the last scene is a satire on QVC. Is that a big thing in Norway? Because I don't think it is in America. Is QVC still a thing?
Yeah, those channels are still on cable.
Some Wow, that blows my mind.
Yeah, no, we've got the shopping channel at home, but also, I won't say his name, but there was some like right-wing commentator who fell from grace, and then suddenly he appeared on some random YouTube channel selling something, and it was so obvious that this guy was going to like shamelessly do anything to stay in the limelight, and I thought, brilliant. And Tom and I just talked about it on the way to that farm, because we're going to do some filming that day, and we thought, how funny would it be before everyone arrives if we just set up a green screen and pretend we're doing QVC?
Yeah.
And I brought one of my mum's rings along to sell.
Yeah, and there was the QVC part and many of the other bits. I can't kind of list all of the influences now, but the mother who wrote the book, that's rooted in the recent, was it Ted Bundy?
Maybe, yeah.
A recent Ted Bundy mini-series where the father had written a book and kind of...
Dahmer,
yeah. Jeffrey Dahmer, yeah, had kind of built a whole career out of being the father of Jeffrey Dahmer, and nobody seemed to ever question the ethics of that. You know, the fact that he was a multi-millionaire from selling books about his murderous son. So, as I say, I can't go through all the little bits, but there was many of the bits that were touched on are rooted in some reality, not all of which would be kind of references that an American audience might get. So kind of like the perviness of my character, constantly hugging women.
That's universal though, isn't it?
but that is a direct reference to a British television presenter who was kind of known for this. He was a game show host, sorry. Whenever he welcomed a female guest, he would hug her just for a little bit too long. So I stole that as well.
On that note, do you think that William Ferrer would have survived Me Too?
I think too many people did.
Oh, that's fair.
I think way too many people survived Me Too. I think we could have another round of of taking people down, to be honest.
So, like, on that, like, the more serious notes of this, did you guys do any, like, research kind of in terms of, like, because, you know, you talked about the exploitative nature of it, obviously with that, the mental health of, like, people that have actually been, like, have lost people to serial killers, obviously have felt some, that grief and that burden, and kind of essentially having to relive those painful memories. Did you guys kind of do any research kind of for that in this movie?
I am a big true crime fan, and actually, like, even on the plane over here, I was listening to all kinds of disturbing stuff, and then I was like, why am I doing this to myself? So I'm complicit, I guess. There was nothing specifically done for this, but I just have for years been listening to this stuff and unable to sleep. I'm wondering, why am I doing that? I don't know why I'm doing it. And one thing Amanda Knox said, because she's got podcasts on this that I found really interesting, she said, like, I would like to think that if what had happened to me, she was like wrongfully accused of a crime. So if this did not happen to me, I'd like to think I was still helping people in prisons. And I thought, why on earth would you have ended up doing that if that hadn't happened to you? So the thing for me was just, I found it really interesting that good things can come out of horrible tragedies, and yet at some point there's a tipping point where it becomes kind of obscene, as we obviously go way over the line, but where the line is, I don't know, you know?
For my part, it was the main thing that touched on the mental health aspect was just the fact that these crimes will kind of never go away, and every time there's a documentary made about it or a kind of book written about it, there's tons of people who remain kind of faceless, who we'll never ever hear from, but who constantly have the reminder of crimes that in some cases happened 20, 30, 40 years ago. And nobody kind of, it would be impossible to ask everyone permission. Hey, is it okay if we make a big new Netflix documentary or even a 6-part series about these events? Nobody's actually kind of checking if that's cool with everybody, and it's probably not. You know, probably some people want to forget a little bit.
I want to see if anybody knows the answer to this question. So recently I came across a statistic that's very much in line with Veslemoy and kind of the exploitative nature, and they recently conducted a study of like the top 5 countries that have like experienced murders, and like ones that are like, I can't remember, it's like 5, 4, and 3 had like experienced under like 400. But the U.S. had experienced 3,200 since 1970. So, did anyone else know that?
Not too surprising.
Well, yeah, not too surprising. I want to open it up to you guys. Do you guys have any questions for Leo and Tom?
I love asking this question because as someone who's made films, it's just, it gets varied answers. So, what was the hardest scene to shoot in the movie, and then what was like your favorite part to shoot in the movie?
Nice. I've got the mic. I'll go first, I guess. The hardest part for me was the scene. It's where I made the most interesting discoveries. I think the town hall meeting scene where they're all gathering with all the chairs and everything. I was really ill at that point because we were working on this like. We have day jobs, you know. We were working this with 3 hours, and I had to get that's one of the scenes where I had to get everyone to show up. But one of the fun things is they were asking, like, how many chairs should I put out? How many people are going to show up? And I said, put out too many chairs. And they said, there are red ones and there are black ones. Which should I put out? I said, put them out at random. Put out just a few red ones in the wrong place. And then they were like, the mirror is cracked. Is that a problem? I said, no, that's brilliant. And then somebody actually accidentally turned on a disco light in the corner. I was like, fantastic, keep that on. Let's never explain that. And then the most fun for me, I think, was the little bits that we just came up with at random. So like the the QVC scene at the end or things like that. Just things that on the day where we went, or even the guitar scene that I love. I can't believe that Barrett didn't laugh at that because we would have ruined that take. It was the only time we did it. But basically, Tom was just interested in the guitar in the corner. So I said, all right, as she's talking, increasingly get interested in the guitar. And that was the only prompt for that scene. So when the magic happened, I guess. This is my favorite part.
I'll start with the hardest part. So there was a lot of stuff that didn't make the final cut, and a lot of stuff that I wanted to bring to the William Fair character that I couldn't actually do in a good way or a way that we could make funny. So I wanted him to be kind of sexist, sleazy, obnoxious, homophobic, but I also wanted him to be quite racist, and whenever. And I couldn't figure out a way to get the racist stuff in there that wasn't like, that I could deliver properly. So Omar and Ozan, who were I wanted to say, like, forget which country they were from or make a comment about them. Just a really ignorant thing that you would hear somebody say every day, that kind of like, what we call in English, kind of everyday soft racism. Like, I wanted to get stuff like that in, but I couldn't because it was just so horrible. I was like, that's not funny. It's just really horrible. So, whenever we tried that, it ended up just getting cut. And the most fun part was kind of the early days of shooting it. So all those little bits where it's just me to camera and the interview with the theatre guy, it was seeing those bits for the first time and thinking it actually kind of works. Or at least I think it's funny. So I just need to find a bunch of people like me to watch it. Yeah.
Thank you.
You guys have any other questions you guys would like to ask the gentleman? They flew all the way here from Norway.
Go for it.
David.
The pressure.
How much of it was scripted? How much was improv? And like, how many takes per scene do you think you guys did? And what scene were they takes that was different? How did that work?
Good question. Like Tom said, I think that like so the script is just an outline of a series of scenes. It just says like, God, I can't even remember. Let me think of an example of one. Yeah, I don't know. Like William Fair goes to interview Esmeralda, the meditation lady. Like and there was one key fact they had to give to make it like clue gathering.
Yeah.
So she was supposed to tell him to go see Hannah, but you notice she didn't actually, because we were having such a good time, we forgot to make her say it. So afterwards in the voiceover, he just goes, "She sent me off to see Hannah," but she didn't actually.
Yeah.
So the script was not that important to us so much as just having fun. And there were many times where we would finish a take and somebody would go, "Oh, I forgot to say the one thing that was the point of this scene," and I would go, "Actually, I don't even care because I thought it was so funny. I don't care that it's not moving the plot forward anymore." So basically, I think we just let it run really long. Like when we were sitting talking on the bed, our characters, when we meet for the first time, that was like 20 minutes, and I just cut my favorite 2 minutes out of it. So that's how we went about it. Yeah.
It was pretty much completely improv, but for my character, I would just keep a kind of diary of horrible things that I wanted him to do, and before each scene, I would look down the list of horrible things and think, what can he do in this scene? So for example, the scene with Esmeralda where I sniff the back of her head as she goes into the yoga studio. Like there was loads of little things like that I thought, if I get the chance, I'll do this. And every time we cut or had a pause, I would just look back down at the list and look for something to say. Yeah.
All right, anything else you guys got? All right, we'll give it up for Leo and Tom. Thank you guys for coming out, and thank you guys for hosting allowing us to host the U.S. premiere for Searching for Veslemoy.